Hey guys, how you going? Welcome to my new video blog. Hey guys, isn't it fascinating that right now we're already in February for 2011? You know, it's amazing how quick time flies, and you know, 2011 I think it's a very unique year, and it's also a year, I think, of the year of increase. But also why I think it's so unique is, if I want to take you back to the 1st of January 2011. You know, it was the first time ever that we actually wrote the date. Get this, we wrote this date. 1-1-1-1. First time ever in history that is the date that we wrote, the 1st of January 2011. You know, what does 1 represent? You know, for me, I actually think 1 represents the beginning of something, the start of something new, like a new day, a fresh start, the beginning of like a trip of momentum, whatever it might be. But 1 always represents the start of something new. You know, I love that. Because even right now in the middle of crises, we've got a crisis that's happening up in Brisbane at the moment with the floods. We've been through a lot of crises in the last 12 to 18 months. Everything from the GFC, the financial crisis, to the bushfire crisis last year, etc. So there's been a lot of things that have happened. But one thing I love about this year, it is the beginning of, we are now starting afresh, and I love that. And I want to very quickly, I want to show you what I like to call a bounce back model. And we've all heard of that term, bounce back. Even at the moment, Sunrise are currently doing a whole bounce back campaign to help the flood victims in Queensland, I think, which is just brilliant. But I still have a bit of a problem with that whole term bounce back. And why? I'll show you. I want to show you something. Let's say, for instance, over here we have you know, this is us, right? And we're going okay, and life is okay. You know, obviously we all have our ups and downs and so on and so forth. So this is us, we're going all right. And then suddenly over here, we hit a crisis. And so from this crisis, we're thinking, what are we now going to do? And suddenly there's this downturn that's happening. And from this downturn, let's say we then basically hit rock bottom. You know, I think we've all sort of hit that, whether or not, again, if it's personally or whether or not it's in our business or in our team environment, whatever it might be, but we've all hit this this rock bottom place. And then obviously our focus after our crisis and hitting rock bottom is actually a bounce back. So it's basically straight back up here to this whole bounce back time. And you've got to excuse my writing, actually. I used to be a dominant right-hander. Now all of a sudden learning to use my left hand, it's quite interesting. But so say, for instance, from our bounce back, we go straight back to this place here. So that's how our whole soul focus when, you know, when we're going okay and everything's all well and good. But if you think about it, if that's our focus, we are focusing on getting us back to that place that got us to the crisis in the first place. So for me, this cannot be our focus, because basically if we're going straight back, we're still going to the same practices, the same type of environment, the same opportunities, everything like that. But I actually think that there's something else that's missing from this, because really, if you think about it, this here is just a rat race. It's just round and round, and it's just simply a cycle. I like to call it the bounce cycle of the rat race, because that's exactly what it is. Yes, you're going okay, you hit a crisis, you got a downturn, you got down here, rock bottom, then you bounce back, and then you come back up again, and so on. It's like a continuous rat race. But there has to be something new and fresh to apply to this. And so this is what I like to do is obviously in the midst of a crisis, whether or not it's emotional or mental or physical or even a natural disaster, it's not about us coming back to a place. It's about us bouncing forward. Bouncing forward. Because when we focus on a bounce forward, we go into a mode that accesses creativity, because we've never been there before. So we're actually, I just lost my pen. So we're actually bouncing forward to a place that we've never been. And so suddenly we have to access creativity, innovation, and in a way thought leadership, because we've never been there before. You know, it's quite interesting if we actually have a look at crises that have happened throughout the last 50 to 100 years. Some of the greatest of opportunities have derived from those crisis moments, which actually brings me to the 5 pillars to help you and your organization and your team to have not just a bounce back, but a bounce forward. And these are the 5 pillars. That was a bad rip. So these are the 5 pillars. So pillar number 1 is actually this. Crises create opportunity. You know, crisis moments create opportunity. Actually, did you know that in the middle of the global financial crisis, there was a 34% rise of Australian millionaires? And it's quite interesting, even through my own journey and through my own search of discovery through a major adversity accident. It's quite interesting. Some of the greatest of opportunities in my life actually was birthed from those crisis moments. So look at a crisis from a complete different angle, because when we are in a crisis, we're suddenly thinking about, okay, what can we create? What can we innovate to actually get ourselves out of this? So the first pillar to have a bounce forward moment after a crisis is just simply realizing that these crises create opportunity. The second pillar is actually this. It's our decision, not our condition. It's our decision, not our condition. You know, we all have these conditions on our life. My condition is a lot more physical, but we all have these, whether or not it's problems or issues, whether or not it's financially, whether or not it's relationship burdens. I don't know what goes on in your life or in your business life, but what I do know is we all have these crises or these conditions on our life, but it's not about our condition. It's actually about our decision. It's an attitude towards that. So the second pillar to help you have a bounce forward moment is actually just realizing that it is our decision, not our condition. And the third pillar is this: different problem, different solution. Or different problem, different thinking. You know, it's quite interesting because when we actually go into a problem or a crisis or whatever it might be, we actually use thinking or innovation or creativity to get us out of that. And then we come to another problem or another issue or another crisis, and we need to realize we cannot use the same thinking that got us out of the previous problem. We now need a different type of thinking. So we need a continuous change management, continuous in creativity and innovation. And in a way, the way that we do that is actually to provide sustainable practices in our own life and in our business life. So to have sustainability, we need to realize that it's actually different problems, different thinking. You know, these are actually 3 individual pillars to actually help you and your team to bounce forward. It's crisis moments create opportunity. It's your decision, not your condition, and different problem, different thinking or different solution. You know, I've actually developed 5 principles. I don't have time to go through them all, but what I do have is if you fill in your email address just to the form underneath here, I want to send you a free book. Now this is actually my Bounce Theory book, and I uncover completely the 5 individual principles. There's some case scenarios in there. There's a whole heap of stuff in here as well. So enter in your email address and I'd love to send you a free book. It's an ebook, it's a free download. And also, you'll then become part of our Bounce community where I send out these quotes, where I send out case scenarios and a whole heap of stuff as well. So guys, right now, I believe that this year is the start of something new. It is the year of 1111. It is the beginning of something new. And this year can be the year of increase for your life. And I want to help you do that. So fill in your email address right down here and let's have the most amazing 2011 together. I cannot wait to chat to you again. See you on the other side.